In this video, I'm going to show you how to create Facebook retargeting audiences. And most importantly, I'm going to show you how to create the best type of retargeting audience for your Facebook ads. You see, there are lots of different types of retargeting audiences, lots of different groups of people that you can retarget. Some retargeting audiences are much more effective than others. And the retargeting audience that I'm going to recommend, the best, the most effective one today, is very different to what I would have said a year or 2 years ago, because there's been so many changes to Facebook and Instagram advertising over the past 12 to 18 months. That's what we're going to cover in this video. Now, I'm sure that most of you watching this video are already aware of what retargeting is, but just to quickly explain, retargeting is simply the process of advertising to people that have already interacted with your business, whether that's watched a video of yours on Facebook, visited your website, they're on your email list, there's lots of different types, we're going to discuss that, but that's what retargeting is, and it's an absolute no-brainer for most businesses that are doing any form of marketing online. Why wouldn't you take the people that have already interacted with you before, that have demonstrated they are interested at least in your stuff, may really like it, and put your ads in front of those people? So it's an absolute no-brainer. You need to know how to do it right though to get the best results. That's what we're going to cover. So I'm in an example Facebook ad account here. I'm in Ads Manager, and in order to create a retargeting audience, we need to create what's called a custom audience within our Facebook ad account. So if you go ahead and click on these three little lines at the top at the left and then select audiences, it could be up here in your shortcuts like it is for me, or you could find it down here in the menu. But either way, you want to go ahead and navigate over to audiences. Now, if you've never created a custom audience, a lookalike audience, anything like that, this is likely what you'll see. If you have, then what you see in front of you is going to look slightly different, but that'll make more sense in a second. Once I've created one, you'll be able to see that as well. Now, as I said, to create a retargeting audience, we need to create what Facebook call a custom audience. And you can see that once we click on that create a custom audience button, we get a whole bunch of different options in terms of different types of retargeting audience to create. Not all are equally effective, as I've already mentioned. Now, there's two main categories of retargeting audience, according to Meta. We've got your sources and we've got meta sources. So meta sources refer to things that occur within app, within Facebook, within Instagram. So it's things like video views. People watch a video of yours on Facebook and Instagram. It's things like engaging with your Instagram account, whether that's sending you a message or just engaging with your post. It's visiting your Facebook page. All these various things, as you can see, there's a bunch of different options here. Your sources are all things that take place outside of the Facebook and Instagram apps. Things like people who visited your website, people on your email list, on your customer list, and maybe people that have done certain things on your app, installed it or taken certain actions. Again, a number of different options there. Now, pre-iOS 14 and all the changes that have happened after that, we used to say that your sources is a much better option when it comes to creating a custom audience to retarget. People who are already on your customer list, assuming you're advertising what they haven't already bought, a different product or service. People on your email list, people who visited your website, have demonstrated that they're really into your stuff. They've taken that step to leave the platform, to check that stuff out, therefore retargeting those people delivers the best results. That, however, has changed. Since iOS 14, we can't track as well the people that visit our website. If someone visits your website on an iOS device, there's a very, very good chance that you will not be able to track them. And if you can't track them, that means that you can't retarget them. If you create a retargeting audience of, say, all website visitors, it's not going to include the vast majority of people that do so on iOS devices. And we know that it's likely to happen in other browsers, and maybe Android do the same and things like that, okay? So that's massively decreased the value of website visitor retargeting audiences. We also know that match rates are down. So when you upload an email list, Facebook's ability to match the people on your list to actual profiles on Facebook and Instagram, which they need to do for you to be able to retarget them, that's decreased as well. So the accuracy around the your sources retargeting audiences has decreased, and therefore we're not seeing as good results. If you used to have 10,000 website visitors a month, you might only be able to advertise to 4,000 of them now. That's a really big deal. What that means is that the meta sources have increased significantly in terms of value, in terms of effectiveness when it comes to retargeting. We didn't target these as much previously because we felt that the people that have only watched a video of yours, say on Instagram, as opposed to going through to your website and joining your email list, aren't as engaged, which is still true, but there's way, way, way more people in a video viewer's retargeting audience or an Instagram account engaged in retargeting audience than there is in these your sources ones, particularly with the drop off in tracking, like I mentioned. And it's fully accurate. Anything that occurs within app, in Facebook, in Instagram, Meta can completely track that, they can optimize for it, and it functions much better in a post-iOS 14 world. So there's 4 different types of retargeting audience that we very regularly use when it comes to Meta sources for our retargeting. I'm going to go through those in order of priority. There may be others. You know, for example, I'm not going to cover shopping, but if you've got a Facebook shop, that wants to be an important part of that. But I know a lot of people don't yet at this point. I'll have more videos on that later on as it becomes more popular, which I think it will. I'm going to cover 4 that apply to more people. So let's start with lead form. So if you're running a lead generation campaign, under the old campaign objective menu, or a lead campaign with instant forms as the destination. So someone sees your ad on Facebook or Instagram, they click on it, instead of being taken outside of Facebook or Instagram, they are presented with a lead form there. People who have interacted with your lead form, you can create a retargeting audience out of those people and put your ads in front of them again, which is a great option if you are using lead forms. So if I go ahead and click on next, then once we get to this window, we've got a number of decisions to make. Within the lead form retargeting audience category, there are lots of different options. We're going to cover some of the most important here. So the first thing you need to decide is events. What event do you want to have taken place for someone to be included in your retargeting audience? There's 3 options. So the default is anyone who opened this form, which is fine to get started with. But what we would usually do if we're running a campaign for a client where we're using lead forms is we would break it down into these 2 options. So we would have a retargeting audience of people who opened but didn't submit the form. And we would make sure that we put the same ad that they've already seen back in front of those people. What we want to do is encourage them to actually go ahead and complete the form this time. Remember that when someone starts down a path but doesn't get all the way there, like opening a lead form but not submitting, it's not often because they're not interested, it's often just because they're busy, they were distracted by something, they were watching TV or whatever, and just by putting that in front of them again, they might go, oh yeah, I am actually going to go fill that out, I am going to inquire about that service, I'm going to sign up for this free thing, whatever it happens to be. We would then also create another retargeting audience of people who opened and submitted the form. Now, we don't want to try and encourage those people to become leads again, that would be pointless, they've already done that, but we can put ads in front of those people to help with the conversion process, help take them from a lead to a customer. Maybe that's client testimonials, lots of different options. That's obviously going to work alongside the sort of more manual reach out process that usually takes place. Sometimes it can be automated, but where we're going to be talking to these people, our clients are, we're going to be talking to these people trying to get them to convert. I'm just going to select this option for demonstration purposes. Then you want to make sure you've got the right page selected if you've got multiple pages in your account, and then you need to select which lead form. You can just search the name in there or click on the drop down. There's actually none I can use here to demonstrate because this is an example ad account. But that's a very straightforward process. I'm sure you can work that out. Then retention, the maximum is 90 days. That's what I recommend you go with. And what that means is that anyone who has taken this action, so has triggered this event over the past 90 days, will be included in this retargeting audience. I would love it if it was longer. It is for other types of retargeting audiences, but it isn't. Nothing we can do about that. We're still getting the warmest, most responsive prospects by selecting 90. Then we want to go ahead and give this audience a name. So in this case, I would call this lead form submitters, because that's what we're creating here, people who opened and submitted the form, and 90, just so I see, and then I click create audience. Now I can't actually do that, as I said, because there's no lead forms to use, but you just click create audience and you are good to go. That audience has been created. And I'm going to show you, by the way, how to add that into the ad set and actually target it before the end of this video. However, I'm going to click back, and then we are going to talk about another type of retargeting audience, sticking within meta sources. I've already described that's definitely something you want to be focusing on nowadays. And by the way, these 4 that I'm demonstrating, I'm doing them in order of priority. So if you are using lead forms in your Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns, the custom audience, the retargeting audience I just created, that's the most important. After that, you're going to move on to video. Now, this obviously only applies if you are actually using video on Facebook and Instagram. If you aren't, then you can obviously skip this. But there's, again, a few different things we need to decide here. So the first is engagement. What we need to do is decide how much of a video, all of our videos, I'll explain more about that in a second, someone needs to have watched in order for them to be included in a retargeting audience. So do you want people who've watched 3 seconds or more, 10 seconds, a through play, which is now counted at 15 seconds, or the whole thing? 25%, 50%, 75%, 95%. My most common option would either be 25% or a through play. It'll really depend on the length of your video. If you've got a really long video, let's say your video is over, say 3 minutes, then 25% is a big ask. you're not going to have many people in your retargeting audience if you go with a large percentage. So then I'd probably go with a through play. If you've got a really short video, let's say it's, 20 seconds long, 25% is great. You don't need to go anything below that. Now, of course, it is possible and sometimes advisable to use some of these other options. If you haven't got very many video viewers at all, maybe you do want to go with people who have viewed at least 3 seconds, but just be aware that audience isn't going to be as warm. And if you've got hundreds of thousands, millions of video viewers, then absolutely go with one of the higher percentages because you're still going to have a really large audience. This is a happy medium for most people. So if I go ahead and select that one, then we need to click on choose videos. And then once you get onto this page, the first thing you need to do is select which video source. So do you want it to come from is this video on your Facebook page? Is it on your Instagram account? Is it part of an ad campaign? Make sure you select the right one, and then obviously make sure you select the right, in this case, Facebook page, but it could be Instagram account if you've got multiple associated with your account. And then you can simply go through and select a video, a whole bunch of videos. That's completely up to you. What I would normally do, obviously, is make sure that whatever videos you select here are going to be highly relevant to the ad that you're going to be putting in front of people. So let's say you sell 3 different product ranges. You might want to create 3 different video viewer retargeting audiences, each one around one of your product ranges is then going to retarget with ads based on that product range. So if people checked out your shoe range, for example, you don't want to be showing them your ads for belts or hats. You want to be showing them ads for shoes. And you can do that quite simply. In general, when it comes to retargeting, the larger the audience, the better. Why wouldn't we want to advertise to people that have already watched a video of yours? So I'd normally go ahead and select all the videos that are relevant to the product range, whatever ad you're going to be putting in front of people, whether that's product, service, etc. I'm just going to select those for demonstration purposes and click confirm. Then we've got retention is 365 days is the maximum, much longer than the lead form option, and that's what I'd go with. 365 days is great. We want it nice, big as possible. Yes, the people that have watched your video most recently are better prospects, but Meta knows that. They're going to start by advertising to those people, and guess what? Once they've put ads in front of those people and they have either bought or not, they're then going to start putting your ads in front of people that have watched a good chunk of your video or watched a handful of your videos, but maybe just did so, 4 months ago, and they're still interested, but just haven't interacted with you recently. Absolutely fine to leave it at that nice long retention period. So then I would call this video viewers 365. And again, you might want to be more specific than video viewers. You could say video viewers 25% hat range if it was to do with hats, as we've already discussed. You might have different product ranges, services, things like that. But video viewers 25%, 365 is great. Click on create audience. Okay, and then we can see that our custom audience, our retargeting audience, the same thing in Facebook language, is populating right now. So you can see estimated audience size below 1,000. It'll be larger than that, but it's populating. We've just created it. It'll take 20, 30 minutes for that to populate. Sometimes Meta does not give you a total here of how large that audience is. It's annoying. Nothing you can do about it. Don't really know why they do it sometimes and not others. Just one of those things. But this is what it looks like when we've got a custom audience in there. And if you already created custom audience lookalike audiences, this is what you would have seen instead of that initial page. But let's go ahead and create the other two. So click on create audience and custom audience once more, and then we're going to move on to the next meta source retargeting audience that I want you to create, which is people who've engaged with your Instagram account. So select Instagram account, click on next. Obviously you need to make sure that the right Instagram account is selected, in this case Ben Heath Marketing, and then we need to go and have a look at events. There's quite a few different options here. The default is everyone who engaged with this professional account, which if you read the small print, just to help you understand what that actually means, it includes people who visited this profile, took an action on this post or ad, such as likes, comments, saves, carousel swipes, button taps, or shares. So if you just go with people that visit your profile, that's actually going to be quite a small number. But anyone who is engaged with any of your posts or ads, that's a lot larger retargeting audience, which is great. We want this audience to be nice and large and take advantage of those warm prospects. So you can get more specific. You can go with just people who engage with that, just people who visit your profile, all that sort of stuff. Unless your Instagram account has tons of activity or you've done loads and loads of advertising on Instagram, spent a lot of money, I would just recommend going with everyone who engaged with this professional account, the largest option. 365 retention is the max we can do. Great, use that for the same reasons as I mentioned with the video viewer retargeting audience. And it's as simple as that. So let's go ahead and call this Instagram Engagers 365 and create audience. Okay, your custom audience is created. We're going to ignore this stuff. We've got other videos on things like lookalike audiences. And then we're going to go ahead and create the fourth custom audience, which is people who've engaged with your Facebook page. So once again, make sure you got the page correctly selected. And then with events, it's quite a similar process. There are other options, people who currently like or follow your page, for example. You can go through these if you want, but I would recommend the vast majority of people go with everyone who engaged with your page. Same logic as we just did with the Instagram account. Retention 365 is the same. And then we're going to go with Facebook page engages 365. And we're going to go ahead and click create audience. Okay, let's click done. And then what I want you to do is head back into Ads Manager. And here I'm going to show you how to actually add your retargeting audiences to an ad set so you can actually target those people. So if I go ahead and click on create, and then let's assume this is a sales campaign. You may or may not be using the sales objective. Either way is fine. It doesn't change this process. Then we're going to jump to the ad set level. And then we're going to scroll down to the audience section. And in this little text field up here underneath custom audiences, we're going to add in those 3 that we were able to create. Normally it would be 4 if assuming you're using video, assuming you're using lead form, etc. And we're going to add all 3 of these into the one ad set. Now, if you've seen a lot of my content around Facebook and Instagram advertising, you'll know that when it comes to cold audiences, I am a big fan of using one targeting option per ad set. Because if you add all the targeting options into one ad set, you just get a blended average. You can't work out, okay, amongst those 5 different target audiences, which one produced a really good cost per lead, which one produced a really good cost per purchase, which ones were more expensive. If you break them all out into separate ad sets, you can work that out. We don't need to do that though with warm audiences when we're retargeting, because we know that these audiences, people who engage with our Facebook page, video viewers, people who engage with our Instagram account, they are going to deliver a better cost per conversion nearly always than our other cold audience targeting options. And we want to max out these audiences. We want to spend as much budget as we can do on these people profitably. And then obviously the remainder of the budget, which is still likely to be the vast majority of the budget because these audiences are typically quite small, can be spent on your cold audiences. So we don't need to break these out, and including them together gives you a larger retargeting audience in one ad set. Larger audiences, as I say, produce better results. Now, when it comes to adding in custom audiences, retargeting audiences to an ad set, it's very important that you leave the other detailed targeting options completely blank. Don't add anything in there. I would very, very, very rarely add in any age or gender parameters. I just leave that open. And then you need to make sure, obviously, that the locations are where you can deliver your product and service. So that might be United Kingdom. In a case like my business, a Facebook ads agency, we would add in a whole bunch of other countries like the US, etc. But just make sure that is representative anywhere you can deliver your product or service. That's what you want to do there. Now, we have found that these meta source retargeting audiences are delivering much better results than they used to previously, but that doesn't mean you want to completely ignore the your source custom audiences, particularly if you've got lots of people on a customer list, an email list, or you've got lots and lots of website visitors. It's still definitely worth retargeting those people. If you want to find out how, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. I've got various tutorials on that. You can find them quite easily. But I really wanted to create a video where I'm talking about what we feel now is the best type of retargeting audience, and that's people that have done stuff in-app that we have a 100% or as close to 100% as you can ever get, tracking accuracy and large audiences that we can retarget, get these people over the line, get them to become leads, get them to become purchasers. It's a really good way to go. Okay, before you go, something I want to quickly mention, and that's our Facebook and Instagram advertising services. So my company, Lead Guru, is a specialist Facebook and Instagram ads agency. We create, manage, and optimize campaigns for our clients. If you're interested in finding out more about our services, you can click on the link in the video description below. There you can book a free call with one of my team members. No obligation. You can just find out more about how we work. We can find out more about your business, see if we'd be a good fit. We do have a 3K per month minimum budget requirement, so please only book a call if you meet that criteria. But yeah, if you do, go ahead, book a call. Hopefully we get a chance to work together. I've already mentioned that every Facebook and Instagram advertiser should be retargeting. It's an absolute no-brainer, but I'd also strongly encourage you to try lookalike audiences as well. Lookalike audiences can be incredibly effective even today, but a lot of people get this wrong. A lot of Facebook advertisers try lookalike audiences and they just don't know how to set them up, how to use the right strategy. In this video here, I cover everything you need to know. I show you strategy, I show you how we use lookalike audiences, how things have changed again over the last 12 to 18 months post iOS 14. Strongly encourage you to check it out. I think it'd be well worth your time.